Welcome, people of the World Wide Web, and it's the weekend, so I got another movie review. We're going for the biggest movie that's probably just come out, and it is The Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Sorry, just a bit wonky there on a thing. So, I went to see this yesterday. Medium to low expectations going. This obviously with the Marvels and Quantumania and stuff like that, it's been up and down. So, did the Guardians save the galaxy and save the MCU from getting another rubbish review, or unfortunately, should the movie have gone to another galaxy of rubbish with everything else? And we shall get straight into it. So, obviously, about 2.5 hours long. There are two after the credit scenes that kind of show where the Guardians are at the end of this film. The first one is kind of shows the Guardians where they are, and then the other one is more related to one of the characters. I'm not going to say any more because I don't give away spoilers at this time. But obviously, anybody who hasn't seen it, they did pretty well going straight off the bat into this. The trailer doesn't give away too much. Now, the trailer shows certain scenes, especially like Peter Quill unconscious and stuff, and gives you the impression that is shown already within the first few minutes of the story as it goes on, and goes completely in a different direction that you don't really get to see. There are fragments of it and stuff, and it is more focused to kind of one story when mixes it in. Obviously, this is James Gunn's farewell. This is the last Guardians of the Galaxy he will release under obviously Marvel, because he's now DC. And I actually must admit that I was really, really impressed. Now, how long this film is, it did not feel like that at all. I was almost in tears at several points. I mean, which is very, very rare for me. I mean, it's so emotional. And just, all the elements, they just work so well. I mean, probably the worst element, what I think in anything, the music wasn't as catchy in places as it has been, but by the by. So, bang a spoiler review up so I can start talking about this. So let's get going. So anybody that doesn't know, basically the film starts off, Adam Warlock has been released on Nowhere. Nowhere is the flying head of Celestial where the Guardians are. Rocket gets hurt. They want to heal him, but unfortunately he has a device in his heart because he was but basically where he was by the person who created him. And it is kind of the story of the Guardians trying to get a key to the technology to kind of cure Rocket. That is the premise of this. You learn a lot about Rocket, where he's from, how he's created, the people he was created with. I say there are very cute animals, and here there are some devastating ones. And it's just kind of the evolution of these characters. Now, first off, James Gunn sprinkling a little Christmas special in, actually, I think, has reunited people's passions of it. All the characters work so well together. They work so, it explores different sections of it. You have Gamora coming back and not feeling like it. You have Nebula, who actually does quite well. Thingy Gillian, she did actually really, really well in this to kind of lead the team. I kind of thought she was maybe going down one route, and she kind of takes a different section. The whole premise of, I don't know, even though it's got Vin Diesel in it, it's the family kind of motto of this film. And I mean, I say it works so well of how these characters have evolved, how they interact with each other. I say, obviously you have the big bad guy, High Evolutionary. The actor, I can't pronounce his name, so I'm not going to try, did amazingly, and people are saying they want him as Kang. I 100% agree. He was amazing as the High Evolutionary, and it was interesting to see that side of the story. They wrap up loads of little bits, like obviously you meet Adam Warlock on that. I know people were expecting more, but it explains because he's so infant, he is a bit of a moron. You have Nathan Fillion in here as kind of a bodyguard type one. That scenario was really funny, and how it works and stuff, and just the story, how they all work together, how they all work off each other. So the fact that I was almost in tears at one point. I'm laughing my head off at another point. This is what I was even speaking on the live stream today. This is probably my favourite trilogy I've let. This overrides the Ant-Man ones. I think this far beats it consistency and ends it on such a high note. to learn of, to kind of round the story off and how the Guardians have all gone directions, but their characters have evolved. I know there's a lot of them not wanting to be part of the Marvel Universe now, and to be honest, I kind of feel you leave them alone for a final get together, and that would be my opinion. But no, I mean, like, this is my, finding of them going to trying to help their friend who's injured, which obviously you forget how kind of pivotal Rocket has been in the past, and it is just done well of a story. You're going to all these different places, meeting the different people, and some you have seen before, some you haven't, and how they're kind of tying back to previous events. But is then obviously you're learning about the Groot character and kind of even people's relationships, how they've evolved to each other, how Mantis and Drax are a bit more kind of kind of like a relationship. But say it doesn't necessarily lead to anything knowingly, but you can kind of see that there. Groot obviously doesn't have too much, but there's even stuff with Groot as well where there are dialogues with him and Gamora, and she's like, I don't understand what you're saying, and then there is one point at the end and he says something and you're like, oh wow, and then it kind of makes sense. And there's little subtones like that. Like, James Gunn has absolutely done like amazing on this movie. I can't praise this movie enough. It does actually fill me with renewed faith in the Marvel universe, that they can produce, given the time and effort and the right people, that they can produce movies and work that is just captivating. As I say, this is 2.5 hours that I sat there and didn't have a number, didn't even look at the time. I was enjoying it the whole way through. It ended, and then watching like, oh, with the credits and the trailers before and everything, you've been in the cinema 3 hours, and it was like that. I say the fact it was sad, and some of the stuff of Rocket's story. I say I know a bit of it before going into the comics, and it is even sadder that you see it in real life. But I say it is, unfortunately, goes back to the whole kind of mindset of family and togetherness and stuff. But just as the characters they're branded together to kind of become this family unit because of bad things that have happened in their lives, and now it kind of takes a turn that they've filled this story that they then have to go off and kind of find a bigger picture for themselves, which is kind of where they end up at the ends, all in their own respect. So it's good to see Sly Stallone in there, who was only in it for a little bit. I know they recast Miley Cyrus's character from there. James Gunn's wife has a small role in it, but even she, I don't get controversy over it. At the end of the day, it is what it is. If he wants to cast his wife, it's only a small role. What does it matter? I know Marvel and DC worked a little bit with trying to get film certain bits. I know Peacemaker was filmed, I think, on the Marvel Studios of this showing, and that just to help each other out with this. So it's nice to see the studios actually working together to benefit from them. And yeah, if I would rate this film, I'd definitely rate it 8 out of 10 at least. I kind of wanted to make it higher, but I think I need to let the euphoria of watching such a good movie and then wait for it to come back. And I say, I think, as I say, the film ties up. And the reason why I don't really rank more, as I say, because it's a franchise, and franchises are a bit limited. But as 1, 2, and 3, they all work well, where you see them where they started off. And I mean, it's been so long since the first film. I think it was 2014. I looked, so it's 9 years in between the first film and the second film. Such a long time. But these characters have developed. We've grown to love them, like Baby Groot and stuff like this, and how, like, I think 2 waned a little bit, but he just brought it back. And it's just how it just ties everything up a nice bit. There's no really strings left attached. Characters have been killed off, characters have evolved and stuff like that. But it all works so well. It's like a recipe, so to speak, of, and the cake, the final product is absolutely stunning. I know this has been spoiled, and I mentioned bits, but I'm trying to not go into too much there because there is so much that I think you should. This is definitely a film you should watch. I would definitely recommend watching it in the cinema as well, because the big screen, brings some of the scene. I mean, like the CGI, I thought it done really, really well. I like all the different characters and say hello. I mean, there's a lot of individual characters there that you meet, and like Cosmo and stuff like that, and they all have their own jokes and funny parts, you know, that all merging together. But yeah, what can I say? Anyway, I have been Cypher Sigma. Hope you like this review of Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and I shall see you in the next one.